Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I will be doing an election prediction between Raphael, Warnock, and Glenn Youngkin. This is obviously, well, this was a subscriber person that wanted this to happen, and I thought it was a really interesting thing. It's two basically candidates that came out of the woodworks and made themselves pretty known to the country in a very short period of time. We really didn't even know who Glenn Youngkin was a month ago, and now he is the governor-elect of the state of Virginia, winning an insane upset election against Terry McAuliffe. Nobody knew who he was. Same with Raphael Warnock, came out of Georgia, ended up becoming a senator, defeating David Perdue, the long-time senator from the state of Georgia, who, they thought you would not be able to beat in this election. He ended up winning. So, two candidates that I guess know how to run political campaigns fairly well. So let's get right into it. Before I start, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are nearing 200 subscribers. We're very close. By the time the video comes out, we may have even passed it because it's supposed to come out on the 10th. So we'll see what happens by then. But, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's a great channel, and you got nothing to lose. Anyway, let's get right into the safe Democrat states. As I say at the start of every video, Oregon and California, Raphael Warnock will win Oregon by a smaller margin in California, but I'm not really going to get into the margins there. I'll even include Maine's first because I don't really care. I don't really want to get into the specifics with that either. Although Maine's first is going to be significantly less, it's still a safe state, I guess. I mean, fine, I'll characterize it as such. As well as all these other races that we all know for the Republicans. And as usual, it is about 181 to 125. And with that, let's get into likely Democrat races. First likely Democrat race I see is Colorado. I think that Warnock will do pretty good in Denver, driving up black turnout. And I do think that he would, decrease whatever the Republicans, they've been able to accumulate a few more percent of the black turnout. I think that would kind of be stymied with Warnock's running in this race. Although he is more of a left-wing candidate, and I don't know how much that will help him. Glenn Youngkin is well at rallying, and I do think Glenn Youngkin will do well with suburban women and possibly Hispanics, so there could be more of a balancing out. But I don't know, Glenn Youngkin is good at rallying support against, especially by parents, when at least when he refers to things as, radical or whatnot. And I do think that Warnock won't do as well in the Northeast. I just think that Glenn Youngkin has more of an appeal, that Northeastern appeal. So with other likely states, I'll also give him New Mexico, just because I think that, Colorado goes, New Mexico goes. But I'm not going to include Virginia, and I'm not going to include Maine at large at the moment. Possibly Minnesota, but I'm not going to even go that far. I think Glenn Youngkin will win Iowa, Ohio, Maine second, Nebraska second, and that is about it by a likely margin. Iowa, Ohio continue to trend to the right. Maine second also. I feel like Maine second is kind of variable. It could go back to the Democrats depending on what candidate they nominate. Obama won it big. Trump won it big. I do think that has much more of a fluctuation than Iowa and Ohio. I think Iowa and Ohio have kind of solidified themselves much, much more in the Republican category. And that's what happens as time goes on. Things change. And Nebraska second, very suburban area in Nebraska. And Youngkin tremendously outperformed the Virginia with the suburban areas. And I think you could see that mimic across the country. And that's it for the likely Republican states. Now let's get into lean Democrat states. I see Minnesota being a lean Democrat state. Maine at large being a lean Democrat state. And frankly, that's about it for the lean Democrat states. I'm not even going to include Virginia. I think that Youngkin actually could make Virginia very, very close, a very, very close election. That's his hope. That he won that race in 2021. Could win in 2024. And I don't know what type of national appeal Warnock has. I frankly don't know I do know what type of national appeal Youngkin has, because Virginia was much more of a national race than the special election in Georgia. Trump kind of screwed that up when you look at it, when he was telling everybody, well, first off, when he was saying that the election was stolen, and that basically caused a lot of Republicans, well, not a lot, but a good amount of Republicans to just not go out, assuming that their votes simply frankly would not be counted. So that was, terrible messaging on Trump's part. If he wanted to get turnout, I mean, you definitely shouldn't have said that, your vote's not going to count. And that's, one of the reasons that happened in Georgia. But also, Virginia was just more of a national race. What we saw was these parent board meetings happening across the country. You saw the momentum across the country. You saw it in New Jersey. You saw it in Ohio. You saw the results come in. But Virginia was kind of the epicenter of all of that. With other lean Democrat states, let's take a look Oh yeah, I think that's going to be it. And Nevada could narrow up, so I'm going to hold off on Nevada, at least at the moment, for the Democrats. Lean Republican. Texas will lean to the Republicans, for as long as I can click it. Florida will lean to the Republicans. Um, and North Carolina, I will consider a lean Republican state. And frankly, that is going to be it for the lean Republican states. So it's a very, very interesting. Florida trends to the right, Texas continuing to trend to the left. It'll definitely hold on to 2024. Unless they nominate somebody like Mitt Romney, Texas will stay in there, or Larry Hogan or something like that. Texas will remain Republican. North Carolina, slightly higher proportion Republicans to Democrats. It usually ends up being, Trump won by 1.7% in 2020, and that was Biden supposed to be doing good then. And that was still technically a lean margin. So yeah, I see Glenn Youngkin doing well in the suburban area there, especially. Anyway, let's get into tilt Democrat states. First tilt Democrat state, I will give uh, Raphael, Warnock, Virginia. Uh, I don't think that Virginia is all of a sudden toss-up state now that Glenn Youngkin won it, but I do think with Glenn Youngkin running, especially since he did win the state of Virginia, not about a few days ago, and this will be 3 years from now, but nonetheless, um, I don't. It's not a toss-up state, but if you run a candidate like Glenn Youngkin, you have a really good shot at winning Virginia. Another tilt state I'll give Glenn Youngkin, or not Glenn Youngkin, Raphael Warnock, is Michigan. I think he could do very well in those inner cities like Detroit, although Youngkin will be able to increase the turnout in the industrial area. And some of the suburban, the urban suburban areas of Detroit, I think he could increase support there, out of that inner city. But Warnock will definitely have more African American support over there, at least. Also, I would say that Georgia would tilt the Democrats to Raphael Warnock ending up. I think he'd end up winning Georgia by a tilt margin, similar to how he won back in 2021. Actually, probably by a little bit of a closer margin, because 2021 was, frankly, because of what Trump said. I think you'd see more Republican turnout coming out then, especially since Republicans now see that they can win an election. 2020 was not the last election ever happened in the United States. Virginia was, frankly, just a minor thing that's going to happen in the long span. I mean, there's 2022 midterms in a year and a general election in 3 years. That's the thing about America is there are elections constantly, and people can constantly vote out people they don't like. But anyway, let's get into some tilt Republican states. I see actually New Hampshire being a tilt Republican state. I think that Youngkin will end up winning the state of New Hampshire. Uh, I think that he has that northeastern appeal, and he'll be able to make it a bit closer up there. I also see Youngkin winning the state of Arizona and Nevada. I think Youngkin will actually do pretty well in the state of Arizona and Nevada, gathering those Hispanic supports. And I don't think that the people in Nevada are particularly happy with Democrats. What we've seen with Harry Reid and Republicans blowing out fundraising in Nevada, very, very good for the Senate race, at least in 2022. Youngkin could corral those votes come 2024 if he's the nominee. Now we're down to the two Rust Belt states, which have literally determined our elections for so long now. I'm going to give Wisconsin tilt to the Republicans. It continues to trend to the right. It continues to vote. No, well, not vote Republican, but we did have Scott Walker. We had Trump in 2016, but Obama won it back in 2012 by around 7.5 points. Trump won it then 2016 by 0.7%, and now Biden won it in 2020 by 0.5%. It does show a clear trend. Trump having a significant impact on that, but it does show that trend in voting demographics in Wisconsin. So, and I do think Glenn Youngkin will be able to tilt it back, but I'm not sure how significant his industrial appeal is. I think he has more of that suburban soccer dad type of guy, and that will bode well in states like Virginia, even states some suburban counties in the Rust Belt. But I just don't know what effect it would have, and I don't know how increased the turnout would be. With the final state of Pennsylvania, I do think that Raphael Warnock will barely be able to win the state of Pennsylvania, really getting lots of votes out from Philadelphia, something that Hillary Clinton wasn't able to do in 2016, and increasing a lot of turnout there, somewhat to what Biden did, but maybe a slightly lower margin because of the trends. 4 years from 2020, it's going to be even worse for the Democrats. But I am being very generous with the Democrats here in the Rust Belt. Glenn Youngkin definitely could win Pennsylvania or even Michigan, but I think that Warnock would be able to drive up that black turnout, similar to Obama, style level event, and that could edge the Democrats out a victory in those states at least one more election cycle. Anyway, let's shift the home, and this is obviously not like that. This is obviously an incredibly close election, 271 electoral votes for Raphael Warnock to Glenn Youngkin's 267. Raphael Warnock goes on to become the 47th president of the United States by 4 electoral votes. So that's quite something, and that's obviously a prediction. But tell me what you guys think below in the comments. If you disagree with any of the state calls, let me know, and I will do my best to respond to you. And like the video, make sure to subscribe, and stay tuned for more great content. Anyway, see you soon. Have a great day.